And welcome back to the Fruit of Grisaia, Yumiko's route. In the last episode, Yumiko tried her hand at doing chores around the house as Yuuji was away at work, to avoid being so much a burden on him. However, everything she tried failed miserably, so bad that Yuuji actually thought that she had fought off attackers when he got back. Let's continue. Alright then, I'm going to get going. Yumiko? Sorry. Have a nice day, Yuuji. Yumiko leans in close and our lips lightly touch. Pretty plain compared to the passionate kisses we were exchanging over here only a week ago. I'll come back early today, alright? Yeah. 3 days have passed since that commotion. Unfortunately, Yumiko still hasn't cheered up whatsoever. Lingering regret over her blunders is only a small part of it, I think. It seems more like a deep reservoir of self-doubt that's been gathering inside her for months is finally overflowing out onto the surface. I told her not to worry about it, but no matter how many times I denied, Yumiko seems firmly attached to the conclusions that her uselessness is dragging me down. The situation's probably not going to improve until the girl realizes that that's not true. I want to convince her somehow, but I can't seem to find the right words. Right now all I can manage is to act like everything's normal in the hope that she'll forget about this a little sooner. A real relationship can be one hell of a difficult balancing act. Even more than the physical fatigue, the knowledge weighs down on my shoulders. What on earth am I doing? I wanted to be a help to Yuuji, but I can't do anything at all for him. Just by being here, I'm driving him into a corner. Damn it, I just hope she's not brooding over there. Even in the middle of work, I can't get Yumiko out of my head. Leaving the girl alone at a time like this worries me. When I'm there, I can talk to her. It's a stopgap measure, but I can embrace her until she calms down. Solitude amplifies fear and doubt. In a frustrating situation like this, talking to yourself for hours on end is a very dangerous thing. However, I simply don't have the flexibility to spend all my time with Yumiko right now. Our financial situation is way too tight. I've got no choice but to finish up here and get back to her as quickly as humanly possible. Phew. Locking another sandbag into place, I exhale heavily and look up into the sky. The weather's nice, so fine that it almost makes me uneasy. Right now, Yuuji must be out there working, and I'm sitting around all day doing nothing. Not only that, I actively make a nuisance of myself. Honestly, what a complete idiot. Honestly. That's right. If not for me, Yuuji wouldn't have to be living like this. I can't find one anywhere. I suppose they've mostly been replaced by cell phones these days. There wasn't even one in front of the convenience store. I've got to find one right away. There! Okay, you can get going for the day. Right. The work progressed a little more quickly than expected. A little past 2 in the afternoon, I get approval to head home. Unfortunately, today's site was pretty far from the apartment. I have to get back as quickly as possible for Yumiko's sake and mine. Looks like we're gonna be busy starting tomorrow, so make sure you got plenty of rest. Yes, sir. I'm already changing out of my sweaty work clothes as my boss says goodbye. That's right, tomorrow's going to come. A new dividing line between the past and the future. No matter how many painful and ugly words you've suffered, there's always a possibility of healing, so long as you keep walking forward. That's the one thing I have to make Yumiko understand. Struggle all you want. Look for your answers. Just don't throw away your own tomorrow. That's right. I just have to ask. He'll agree, surely. That man only needs me, after all. In exchange for my voluntary return, turn a blind eye to Yuuji's crimes. Surely that's not a bad bargain. public telephone. Who on earth? Hello? What was I doing? I was about to betray Yuuji again. They hung up. We have confirmed that Kazami, Yuuji and Yumiko-san have destroyed their personal cell phones. Hypothetically, if they were to make contact with you, it would likely be through a public telephone, should you receive any suspicious calls. A public telephone? Could it be? Hello, immediately pull the records on the payphone that just called. Yes, to my cell, of course. Are you even awake over there? There's a good chance it was Yumiko or that boy soldier of hers. Hurry up! Finally throwing in the towel, eh, Yumiko? Wasn't able to get back early after all. The return train from the site was delayed, so it's already evening by the time I'm back in town. Barely any different from the usual. Driven along by sheer impatience, I find myself striding rapidly down the street. This is no good. Why am I feeling so uneasy? Probably because I kept dwelling on the situation while I worked. Unproductive thoughts kept flitting around through my mind. Shaking my head to drive away those vaguely ominous feelings, I hurry home while maintaining an appropriate level of vigilance. A good feeling is usually the product of wishful thinking, but a bad feeling is grounded in experience and reality. Therefore, the latter proves accurate more often than the former, or so they say. The lights are out in our apartment. The instant I see that, all the dark thoughts I've been fighting today spring violently back to life. Yumiko! Dropping the armful of used books I'd bought as a distraction for Yumiko, I sprint up the stairs to the second floor. Yumiko, are you there? I unlock the door and rush inside. No sound or movement answers my frantic entrance. Was I too? At first I thought she'd left the apartment, but as my eyes adjust, I find her hunched down quietly in the middle of the room, arms wrapped around her knees. The curtains are tightly shut, the sun hasn't set, but our room is enveloped in darkness. Unlike last time, there's no signs of mess or physical damage, and yet it's obvious at a glance that Yumiko's in far, far worse shape than she was that day. What happened, Yumiko? I run over and shake her by the shoulder more roughly than I intended. As my hand moves, Yumiko's head rocks loosely back and forth like that of a broken doll. And with a terribly glacial movement of her neck, she lifts her face to look at me. I'm completely useless, completely and utterly useless. Yumiko! The first thing out of her mouth wasn't my name, or even the words of apology I hate so much. They were empty, bitter words, filled with profound self-loathing. Something happened, right? All I can say for sure is that something's very wrong. Very seriously wrong. One misstep here and everything might fall apart. Yumiko, tell me what's wrong. Please. At the very least, I need her to tell me what happened. I can't do a thing until I know what we're up against. Yumiko opens her mouth slightly, closes it, then repeats the process. Finally, in a frail whisper far removed from her normally forceful voice, she speaks. I tried to make a call. A call? What? On a payphone? We destroyed Yumiko's cell phone immediately after beginning our life on the run. Yumiko slowly nods her head, then continues, audibly fighting back tears. I tried to call him to see if he'd spare you at least. Him? Your father? I'm the one who made you do all that, Yuuji, and if I wasn't here, we wouldn't be living like this. So I thought maybe I could save you by going back to that house. I was going to beg him. Yumiko, you... But I changed my mind. I hung up without saying anything, so... I wrap my arms around Yumiko and interrupt her words. Crushing her against me in a powerful hug, I pet her hair and stroke the small of her back. Yuuji... Sorry, all I seem to do is make you worry. The girl was so desperately concerned about me that she nearly threw her own freedom away. I was naive to think I understood, stupid to think she would just put it behind her. For a moment I'm immersed in something very much like despair. How well can the likes of me possibly answer such intense feelings? After gently stroking Yumiko's back one last time, I pull away, determined to at least try. We're leaving. It's better to assume they've already located us. Huh? As soon as you placed that call, they had a traceable record. There aren't many people who bother use of payphone these days. It's going to raise suspicions.
No, that can't.
Yep, I'm sure you had no idea. Can't do anything about it now. Put that out of your mind.
Okay.
Alright then. This isn't the time for me to catalogue my feelings, or for Yumiko to regret her actions. After quickly gathering up a few basic personal belongings, I opened the curtains a crack and peered outside. There doesn't seem to be anything suspicious going on yet. Taking my cell phone from my pocket, I opened a map of the area around our apartment. All of our escape routes seemed viable for the moment. We're going to catch a train at Sejima Station. Let's hurry.
Is it going to be alright?
Yeah. With a reassuring nod, I take her by the hand. Just as before, I lead our escape, pulling Yumiko along behind me. The situation is clearly worse than it was back then. But today, Yumiko's grip seems a little firmer. As we run along the asphalt under the setting sun, I squeeze her hand in return, searching for the resolve I'll need to keep her safe.
Damn! We're too late! Looks like somebody left in a hurry, huh? Left most of their stuff lying around.
Right, call President Sakagi immediately. I'll look for any clues about their destination.
Got it. Yes, we just arrived at the apartment. I'm very sorry, it seems that they were here, but they already fled. The state of the room suggests they left very recently. We'll pursue immediately.
Understood. Get on the trail and don't let them give you the slip this time. I won't let you get away, Yumiko. You're going to listen to what I say and do as you're told. From the West Tsutomu Railroad Sejima Station, we board a train on a line that winds its way through the mountains. I sit quietly next to Yumiko, my arm wrapped around her shoulder. She doesn't try to strike up conversation either. It's still a little early for the office workers to be coming home, so the train's mostly empty. There's no real need for us to be silent. Still, neither of us exactly feel like having a casual chat. I watch Yumiko's face from the side. Her expression haggard, she stares quietly down at the floor beneath her feet. There's no light in her eyes. What sort of words would bring this girl real comfort? I've been searching in vain for what feels like a very long time now. Too clumsy to craft skillful white lies, I couldn't even give her temporary relief. I just waited for things to mellow with the passing of time. There didn't seem to be any other choice. But that was wishful thinking, expecting the impossible. Something like this could have happened at any moment, but I just passively waited for the infinite flow of time to solve all our problems for us. Pathetic as it is to admit, maybe I was just tired. This lifestyle took a toll on me as well. I wouldn't have chosen such an idiotic policy otherwise. I've got to tell her somehow. There's something I want Yumiko to know, but if I just came out and said it right now, there's no way she'd accept it at face value. In fact, she'd probably interpret it as kind but insincere lip service. Might well end up pushing her even further into her shell. Any attempt at cheering the girl up right now will probably have just the opposite effect. With a loud thunk and a squeal from her brakes, the train shakes heavily and comes to a halt. West Tokoroyama, this is West Tokoroyama. Transfer is available to Nishikawa Mountain Line. A bored-sounding conductor informs us we are arriving at a station. The Nishikawa Mountain Line, as the names might suggest, leads up into the mountains themselves. It heads even further into the backwoods than our current destination. As I glance out from our mostly empty carriage, a sign on the station platform catches my eye. Halfway up the mountain line, the West Tsutomu Railway built a baseball stadium or something of a tourist attraction. The sign's covered with a large poster advertising the team's upcoming schedule. But my gaze comes to a halt just below it. Underneath that flashy logo with the name of their baseball field spelled out in English, there's another sign I hadn't noticed at first. It brings back a memory from a few months ago, something we talked about before the strain began to wear us down. Something important that I've very nearly forgotten. Oh, that's right. We've been hard-pressed just to get by. Maybe it's only natural that this slipped out of my mind. But it's something Yumiko needs. Something she's needed for a long time. Yumiko, you awake? Pulling Yumiko's head toward my shoulder, I lightly shake her body.
Yes, of course.
Time to transfer.
Transfer? Here?
Yeah, got to hurry or the train's going to leave.
Alright.
We step out onto the platform, then make our way toward the largely deserted branch line. The wind, still a little cold despite the season, blows vigorously through the exposed station. Yuuji, weren't we going to take that train further down the line? Why did we get off here?
Forgot something. We're going to take care of that.
Huh? We're going back to the apartment?
No, that's not it.
I glance back at Yumiko, just as before, her expressions full of profound fatigue and sorrow. Forcing my dull face into the most reassuring smile I can manage, I speak.
This way, Yumiko.
What? Pulling her along by the hand, I stride toward the mountain line platform. The wind gusts against our back as if to push us along. Yuuji!
What's up?
This place, why? The train took us 3 stops up into the mountains before reaching its final stop. As soon as we disembark, Yumiko's expression transformed into one of pure bewilderment. With one step past the ticket gate, a sea of vivid electric decorations opens up theatrically before our eyes.
It's an amusement park, if you hadn't figured that out for yourself.
I know that, but why all of a sudden, at a time like this? It's the polar opposite of the colorless fugitive life we've been trapped in for so long. Must feel like I've carried her into a dream. It'd be stranger if she wasn't taken aback.
That's exactly it. Our pursuers will never suspect the two of us might be playing around here, like we don't have a care in the world.
Well, no, but that's still... You can't be. Bringing my mouth close to Yumiko's ear, I speak in an artificially stern tone of voice.
Listen, Yumiko. This is a crucial part of our escape strategy. Forget the questions for now. I need you to act like you're having fun.
Really?
Yeah, it might well invite suspicion unless we're sincerely enjoying ourselves. Make it look convincing, alright?
Yes, I understand. As Yumiko nods a little dubiously, I slap her gently on the shoulder and shift to a louder, cheerful voice.
Have to start with the roller coaster, am I right?
No way! Such a powerful enemy right off the bat!
Powerful enemy, she says.
I don't think amusement park rides really have power levels, but apparently Yumiko's worked out a firm internal ranking. Well, don't you normally work your way up to that sort of thing? You know, start with the slow and easy rides and get used to it?
It's all good. If we start off with the real thrill, everything will seem easier by comparison, right?
But...
No buts. Come on, let's go.
Firmly seizing Yumiko's hand, I drag her over to the roller coaster line by force. In a mostly empty amusement park, soon to be closed for the night, the sound of our rapid footsteps echoes through the air. Alright, we're riding that one next.
Maybe we should at least catch our breath first.
Understandably enough, Yumiko had been hesitant at first, but after 2 or 3 rides that faded away completely. By now she's the one pulling me around. What should we ride next? What's your preference, Yuuji?
Me? I'd like to ride to that bench in the rest area for a while.
Let's go on that river rafting ride. Looks fun, right?
People have often told me my listening skill needs work, but it seems I'm not the only one.
Come on, let's go. Hurry up.
Hey, don't yank me around like that.
Smiling wryly, I let Yumiko pull me back into a run. I love seeing Yumiko's face when she's smiling. That's just an adorable face. Are you any good at driving go-karts, Yuuji?
Never been in one before, but, well, I imagine it won't be a problem.
Not quite the same thing, but I've got experience driving up to 300 kilometers per hour. But it's probably best to keep that thought to myself. No point reminding the girl of the past. In any case, handling this sort of vehicle is actually something of a speciality of mine.
You want to have a go?
It's not particularly feminine, is it? Do you promise not to laugh?
A little late to worry about that now after the way you flipped out on that thrill ride. Ow!
Yumiko pokes me sharply in the flank. Don't be rude, I wasn't enjoying myself that much. Probably. This coming from the girl who cackled with glee as the coaster went into a nearly straight vertical drop.
Well, whatever, let's give it a shot. I'm looking forward to seeing you drive.
You might regret that. I'm a whole different person once I get behind the wheel.
Seriously?
It's a joke, to be honest. I've never driven before. Not even in a game. This inspires a moment of relief, but soon I recall the distressing example of certain monstrous speed demon named Su Amane. Indeed, there's no telling how taking hold of a steering wheel will change a person. A vision of Yumiko merrily smashing around the track, shrieking, "Ah ha ha ha, this feels so good! I want more, Yuuji!" flashes before my eyes. I think I'll have to keep a very careful eye on how things develop out there. Why the serious face all of a sudden?
Oh, it's nothing. I was just reflecting on the countless possibility lying dormant inside the human soul.
What? Nice escape, Yuuji. Phew, I think we've been on almost everything by now.
Well, yeah, since we went from one end of the park to the other, literally riding everything we saw.
Discovering your unexpected weakness to rotating ride made it all the worthwhile. Yumiko looks over at me with a smirk on her face.
So, sue me. I'm just not a fan of that coffee cup thing.
You had the surliest look on your face the whole time. Next time you do something bad, maybe I'll sit you down in a chair and spin you around as punishment.
Spare me the practical applications, please.
It's good that Yumiko seems to be enjoying herself, but the last thing I need is the girl developing some weird little superiority complex. I think some retaliation may be in order.
Yumiko, how about this next?
Huh? Is there some ride we haven't been on yet? The innocent Yumiko peers down at the pamphlet in my hand, her face stiffens like water freezing to ice. This is...
What's wrong? Where's that energy and enthusiasm gone all of a sudden, Sakaki Yumiko?
Why do you only use my full name when you're making a fool out of me? Look, I'll pass on this one. Let's do something else, okay? Yumiko looks up at me with pleading eyes. Meeting her gaze with a deliberately kind expression, I answer flatly and decisively.
Not happening.
What? You can't be serious.
It's your punishment for mocking me about that spinning ride. Only fair that you have to face up to your weaknesses as well, right?
I made my way to a building tucked into the dense forest on the edge of the amusement park, forcefully pulling a resisting Yumiko along behind me. A building marked Spine-Chilling Hall of Horrors. No, jerk, idiot, bully, you know I can't stand this sort of thing, no! I would have loved to seen that in text.
Well, I wasn't expecting much from an amusement park attraction, but that was truly an engrossing experience. That wax figure that popped out halfway through was particularly well made. The way his brain bust out all over the place was quite realistic, don't you think? Oh, and the master of the hall, I saw the decapitation coming, but I wasn't expecting his severed bloody head to come flying in our direction. Guess it's worth giving that sort of place a try every once in a while, eh, Yumiko?
Yuuji, you are so mean!
What's wrong? You haven't been saying much, and that pale face of yours is getting whiter. Did you catch a cold or something?
It's because I was terrified, obviously.
You did seem even more frightened than I expected.
I can't believe you, that was too scary! Yumiko only shrieked and screamed like a normal girl for the first 5 minutes or so. After that, the terror must have overloaded her brain. No matter what came at us, she just quivered violently at my side, her face frozen in an expressionless mask.
You really are totally helpless against that sort of stuff, huh? My bad.
Oh, please, you knew that perfectly well and you still dragged me there. Sometimes you're a complete sadist, Yuuji. Well, she's got a point.
Can't deny that, but
he doesn't either. Like in bed, even when I tell you to stop, things always get out of hand.
You say something?
No, nothing. It's nothing. Come on, enough scary stuff. Let's go for a little something a little more fun this time, okay? Her pallid face abruptly blooming red, Yumiko pulls me firmly along by the hand in a clear attempt at changing the subject. Well, I'm starting to get a little tired.
Yeah, same here.
We finished visiting nearly all the attractions the park has to offer. Yumiko glows with obvious satisfaction, but there's a hint of fatigue in her eyes as well. Of course, considering the long and stormy day we've just had, I suppose it's only natural for her to be a little worn out.
Why don't we finish up by riding the Ferris wheel or, Yumiko?
As I'm suggesting we conclude our visit with the venerable amusement park staple, I notice that Yumiko's looking off in a completely different direction. Is there someone behind me? No, doesn't seem like it. She's been shooting glances over at one fixed point in particular. Subtly, careful not to let Yumiko notice, I follow the line of her gaze.
Wait, does Yumiko seriously want to?
What I find there surprises me. It's an attraction, somewhat out of sync with Yumiko's image. Of course, an amusement park isn't the sort of place you'd expect to find Yumiko to begin with, but even in that context, this ride stands out as an S-rank mismatch.
Hey Yumiko.
What is it, Yuuji?
Do you, want to ride that thing?
I point in the direction Yumiko was just looking and gingerly ask the obvious question. What? Instantly, in a replay of the previous conversation, her pale face lights up with a violent blush. Don't be ridiculous. Why would I want to? It's like something a little girl would ride.
Well, you've been running around like a little girl the whole time we've been here, haven't you?
You're mocking me, aren't you? You're clearly mocking me.
In that case, you want to just skip it and leave?
What?
Yes, that's decided then. You're so easy to understand.
Getting off of the bench, I take Yumiko by the hand and pull her to her feet.
Let's make that at the grand finale then.
Hold on, Yuuji, Oh! I gotta get this as a thumbnail. This is awesome. What was it? There we go. Before long, the two of us climbed onto the ride Yumiko had her eye on. The park's shutting down for the night very soon. There aren't any other visitors to be seen. Wait, stop! This is embarrassing. But nonetheless, the girl looks around the area nervously, self-conscious despite the complete lack of spectators.
What's the problem? Nobody's around. Might as well throw your pride to the wind and regress to childhood.
Easy for you to say. How am I supposed to regress all of a sudden? Come on, seriously. Ignoring Yumiko's protest, the merry-go-round creaks to life and begins to spin. A vast array of cheap-looking electric decorations and lights begin to blink cheerily on and off, and an upbeat tune that feels vaguely familiar plays from the speakers overhead. As if such a childish bit of make-believe is going to... Halfway through the sentence, Yumiko falters. The carousel horse slowly rises and falls underneath her. The scene before her eyes transforms again and again. A brilliant green gradient fades into a sky of impossible indigo blue, forming an artificial stage amidst the darkness. White lights above merge into one continuous line illuminating the spectacle. As the soothing, strangely nostalgic sounds and lights wash over us, the tone of Yumiko's voice gradually begins to change. Such a childish bit of make-believe.
What's wrong?
I can hear the girl faintly breathe in, and then, in a voice just barely audible over the garish music, she continues. I always wanted to ride one. Just like this, with somebody I love. Every time we move up and down, the metal fixtures supporting our horse creak audibly. With every clunking repetition, Yumiko's body shakes a little in my arms. And it's not just because the horse is worn out. You know, back when Mom was still living with Dad, I didn't understand at all. Yumiko shared her memories of those early days with me before. How at first she grew up assuming herself to be a normal child. How she slowly came to realize she was different, the beginning of her isolation. When Dad had a day off, he'd take Mom and the others out to the sea to visit beaches and amusement parks. But they always left me behind, just me, out in the garden drawing pictures in the dirt. Mom ended up in the hospital, Dad stayed far away, Grandma and Grandpa acted like I wasn't even there. And that's when I finally understood. The quivering of her body grows noticeably stronger against my hands. That I shouldn't have been born, that nobody wanted me around, that I'd always have to be alone. Yumiko's sentence shudders to a halt, her shoulders heave with silent sobs. The girl's been making an effort not to cry in front of me. Even when she was crushed by her own failures, she did her absolute best not to break down. Even now, she keeps her back turned, refusing to let me see the tears. How many times has Yumiko cried like this, her face hidden from the world? Abandoned, rejected, betrayed, hacking at her hair with a box cutter, hiding in her room. At all times it hurt most the girl's been on her own. So, well, Yuuji being here with you today, having fun together, made me really happy.
Yumiko.
Really happy. Really, truly happy. Artificial stars rotate before our eyes. The light merges together into one long multicolored stripe, dancing up, then down, left, then right. Red and white and yellow and blue extend all around us, spinning in time to the cheerful, simple music. Yuuji, be honest. That escape strategy was nonsense, wasn't it? You took us here for my sake.
I never tell lies. Don't you know that by now?
That's not true. You're too nice to be honest, Yuuji. You always told me so many kind lies.
Ridiculous slander.
You kept telling me nothing was wrong, even when you were suffering. You hid the truth from me because you knew it would bother me. I wanted you to be more selfish with me, Yuuji, but I couldn't make you. That made me very sad. Yumiko hesitated, choosing her next words carefully. I know what's coming next. It's nothing I want to hear. A phrase we've tried to make taboo. I'm so sorry, Yuuji. It must have been on the tip of her tongue so many times the last few months. The miserable apology that finally spills out of Yumiko's mouth is a quiet, frail thing, but it's still enough to pierce me to the core. I wanted to divide the pain and sadness you're carrying more equally between us. I wanted to take care of you, the way that you take care of me. But I couldn't do a single thing, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being with you.
Yumiko.
Calling her by her name, I stroke her cheek with one hand. As if her own pain wasn't enough, she wants to take on the darkness inside of me. She's trying to load down her slender body with a weight that it can't possibly bear. And this from a girl too weak to even support herself.
I have something I wanted to say to you as well, Yumiko.
I draw the arm I wrapped around Yumiko closer to me. Pressing her body firmly to mine, I speak the words clearly into her ear.
I'm really glad you were born. Thank you.
Huh?
I never had anyone care about me this much. Everything I did before I met you felt hollow. I always ended up alone.
With my master gone, I didn't know why I was even bothering to keep on breathing. Continuing to work for my country, I tried to find some meaning of the words she left me at the end. They were all I had left. I still haven't unraveled that mystery, but now that I'm with Yumiko, I think I'm beginning to glimpse some small fragment of the answer.
At the very least, your birth had meaning for me. So let me say this one more time. Don't apologize. I'm grateful to you.
I embrace her even more strongly than before. Above the swaying carousel horse, Yumiko's body begins to tremble once again. A warm drop of water falls on the hand I've wrapped around her, then another. Pretending not to notice, I gently stroke her hair. Why are you so kind?
I'm not kind, just full of myself. I do what I want.
No, you're definitely kind. I mean, when you come at me with a line like that, I can't even fight back anymore. Her hand reaches back to grasp the sleeve of my shirt. You really are kind and completely full of yourself.
Sorry, it's my nature.
It takes some time for Yumiko's trembling to die down. The park outside is already sinking into darkness as I watch the lights and the other attractions wink out in ones and twos.
By the way, there was another reason I brought you here.
Another reason? Sounds like she's forgotten.
Because I promised.
Promised? Ah. As my words jog her memory, Yumiko's voice take on a note of surprise.
You told me you wanted to visit one of these, remember? I know the timing's a little crazy, but...
Tears welling up in the corner of her eyes, she looks back at me and smiles. I'm happy. You remembered?
Come on, no way I'd forget something like that.
Right. The music playing from the tinny, poorly maintained speakers above us is repeatedly interrupted by bursts of static. That jarring noise periodically cuts our conversation apart. The cheap dream world creaks and groans around us. It's not exactly the sort of illusion you could just lose yourself in. But none of that really matters. I've found a woman who can love a piece of trash like me from the bottom of her heart. That's enough to make this place an impossible paradise. Eventually, the last attractions go dark and our little fantasy world fades away with a sigh of a motor. I sit on our horse with my arms around Yumiko, quietly speaking her name again and again, as if to remind her that she is here, that this is real. And in response, she whispers Yuuji many, many times. In a forest so dark it's impossible to tell where the trees end and the sky begins, our train winds its way down to civilization. Little by little, the small lights of carriage windows come into view into the station below, where we transferred only a few hours ago. As much as we might want to deny it, those lights force us to realize that our time in the dream world's over. Down there, inescapable reality is waiting for us. It's already past 10. They've had hours to follow our trail. Once we transfer to the train that'll carry us back from here, we won't be able to turn back. At my side, Yumiko quietly gazes at the back of the seat in front of her. Her eyes aren't hollow and lifeless like they were before, but from the tightly clenched fist resting on the seat by her thigh, I can see that she's still a little uneasy. I lower my hand from her shoulder to cover that small fist. After a few gentle strokes, she lets her hand fall open, then turns it to squeeze mine in return. Where are we going? The questions tinge with a little anxiety.
We'll take a detour to the north, then head east. From there we'll change to a different private railway and head further north.
North?
Yeah, there are some decently populated towns along the coastal railway where we shouldn't stand out too much.
Hide people among people. Still following that basic principle, I've decided on a slightly more distant destination. However, unless the fundamental dynamics of the situation change, our fugitive lifestyle isn't going to end. From what JB's told me, the East Beach group has some delicate circumstances at the moment. But if that changes, they might go public with the search. The police will get involved, Ichigai will move in earnest, even the media will start working against us. At that point, there probably won't be any safe place left for us. We're still two isolated individuals struggling against an incomparably strong opponent. We have no choice but to run, I suppose. There's no doubt Yumiko feels the same apprehension. The tone of her voice is low, resigned. Gazing at her slightly downcast face, I finally make up my mind to ask,
Actually, Yumiko, I have a question for you.
She turns to look at me. Staring straight into her eyes, I continue.
Do you want to confront your father?
What?
If you got the will, I might have a way. I've been slowly making preparations ever since we ran away.
You're asking me?
That's right. We can also run away, if that's what you want. If we confront him and lose, we'll be torn apart. But that's risk either way.
Yumiko listens to my words quietly and attentively. But as I continue, her gaze slips from mine and begins to fall downward. By the time I finish speaking, she's staring straight at her feet. I can't possibly make that decision. After a brief pause, she answers in a voice bitter with self-derision. I mean, I haven't grown in the slightest. The whole reason we're on the run is that idiotic phone call I made. And once again her voice begins to quaver as she struggles to hold down the tears. When you came to save me that day, they took me from the dormitory. I told myself I'd believe in you. That's why I took the hand you offered me. But at the very end, when push came to shove, I couldn't do it. I couldn't believe in you. How can I ask you for anything when I'm just going to end up dragging us both down?
I shake my head to deny her words. You're wrong, Yumiko. You have changed. There's no doubt about it.
Huh?
Yeah, you tried to make that phone call. But you hung up before he answered, didn't you?
Well, yes, but that didn't make any difference. Because of that call, those people nearly caught us.
Hindsight is 20/20. I'm talking about what you were thinking, Yumiko.
What I was thinking?
Yeah.
I remember the day when Yumiko dismissed me. The day she tried to leave my life forever. Refusing to acknowledge her own will, unable to rely on me, she tried to disappear all on her own. That Yumiko would have made the phone call. She would have told her father everything, believing all the while that she was doing me a favor.
You pulled yourself back from the edge. You fought down the fear and held onto your own free will. And I'm going to stay with you, no matter what kind of ending we got waiting for us.
Yuuji! Yumiko throws herself against my chest. Her body is slender and light as always, but today I can feel a strength in her that wasn't there before. Slowly, face buried against my shirt, she gathers her breath. I just sit there, letting her respiration warm my skin, enjoying the affectionate movements of her fingers against my back. And finally, I have my answer. Yumiko pulls away and meets my gaze.
That's a coincidence. Same here.
Simultaneously, our faces break into smiles. There's no hint of strain or awkwardness. They're probably the most easy, natural smiles we've had on our faces in a long time. And again, in Yumiko's eyes, I see something like determination. Resignation might still be a part of it, but that strength I glimpse inside of her is real. I absolutely believe that now. Shall we stay together then?
Sounds good.
Our eyes fixed on each other, we open our mouths to speak. For a long time our feelings for each other kept us at cross purposes, but now finally we're standing together facing the same moment, seeing the same future. seeing the road we'll travel. So this is actually where you have the choice to get the quotation mark good and bad ending. And because we're going for the good ending, we have to choose confront him together. So we shall see how that goes in the next episode. But until then, take care.